On a crisp October morning in 2023, in the quiet town of Willow Creek, Indiana, Daniel Harper woke to the roar of bulldozers tearing through his soybean field. He stumbled out of his farmhouse, still in his flannel pajamas, to find a woman in a tailored blazer standing amidst the chaos, clipboard in hand, preaching about a visionary community airstrip project. Margaret Ellison, the HOA president, flashed a smug smile and waved a stack of so-called permits, talking to Daniel like he was some backwoods farmer who couldn't grasp progress. The nerve of it was staggering. She had no idea that Daniel, who'd retired to this peaceful patch of land 5 years ago, had spent 4 decades in a world far removed from farming one that equipped him to see through her charade. As she rambled on, oblivious to the storm she was stirring, Daniel's eyes narrowed, catching details in her paperwork that would have slipped past most. This wasn't just an overreach. It was a calculated move, and Margaret was about to learn she'd picked the wrong guy to mess with. The scene unfolded like a slow-burn thriller. Margaret, with her polished demeanor, thought she could steamroll Daniel with her official documents and HOA clout. "Mr. Harper," she said, her tone dripping with condescension, "this airstrip will bring economic growth to Willow Creek. The county's fully on board." But Daniel, leaning against his porch railing, wasn't buying it. He spotted inconsistencies in her permit's missing signatures, questionable timeliness that screamed forgery to anyone who knew what to look for. He played it cool, though, muttering, "Just something I read online," whenever he let slip a detail too sharp for a simple farmer. But his eyes, scanning her blueprints with the precision of a hawk, betrayed a mind that had spent years dissecting technical documents. I was there, watching from my porch across the road, and I swear I saw him suppress a smirk when Margaret tried explaining FAA regulations to him. This guy wasn't just a farmer. He was hiding something big, and it was thrilling to watch her dig her own grave. Others were drawn into the drama, each with their own stakes. Jake Ellison, Margaret's young cousin, fidgeted nervously, muttering about double-checking federal rules, while clearly torn between family loyalty and his nagging conscience. Then there was Clara Thompson, the 70-year-old widow next door, scribbling notes with a focus that felt more like a detective than a nosy neighbor. Her sharp eyes tracked every move on the construction site, logging details with a precision that screamed professional training. Meanwhile, Paul Ellison, Margaret's husband, dodged questions with a nervous laugh, deferring to his wife on anything technical. The whole setup reeked of secrets, like a family playing roles in a scheme they didn't fully understand. Those permits Margaret flaunted. They looked legit at first fancy seals. Government letterheads, but Daniel's quiet observations exposed them as high-end fakes. Whoever crafted them had money and expertise, hinting at a conspiracy deeper than a small-town HOA stunt. When Margaret casually mentioned details about Daniel's land down to the exact location of a maple he'd planted in 1998, I felt a chill. How did she know that? This wasn't just about an airstrip. She'd been studying him. And the question was, for how long? That night, under a moonless sky, I caught Daniel slipping out of his house in dark clothes, moving toward the construction site with the stealth of a trained operative. This wasn't some angry farmer snapping photos. He was methodical, capturing equipment serial numbers, contractor IDs, and unsecured documents with a tactical awareness that screamed professional. He dodged security cameras, stayed in shadows, and photographed timelines that showed illegal work schedules. I watched from my window, heart pounding, feeling like I was in a spy movie. Clara was on the case too. Her kitchen window a command center where she logged worker patterns and equipment movements with eerie precision. Jake, meanwhile, was cracking under the pressure. I overheard him whisper to a coworker about Margaret rushing the project to dodge an important inspection. The kid's voice trembled, torn between loyalty and the truth eating him alive. The tension exploded at a packed town hall meeting in November 2023. The room buzzed with anticipation. Cameras rolling. Neighbors squeezed against the walls. Daniel walked in with a laptop and a folder, looking more like a corporate lawyer than a farmer. His presentation was a masterclass: diagrams of runway violations, FAA regulation citations, environmental impact analyses, all delivered with the calm authority of someone who'd lived in that world for decades. He called out approach angle errors, substandard runway widths, and wetland destruction with such precision that the room fell silent. Phones lit up as neighbors live-streamed, and the internet erupted. Who is this guy? Comments flooded in. Hashtags trending as aviation experts online confirmed Daniel's expertise was no hobbyist knowledge. Margaret's face went from smug to ashen as her professional engineers were exposed for missing violations Daniel spotted in minutes. The community split. Safety-conscious families rallied behind Daniel, while wealthy investors, lured by Margaret's promises of a luxury airstrip, dismissed him as a troublemaker. Friendships fractured, and the town felt like a powder keg. Margaret fought back with a vengeance. Her lawyers unleashed a barrage of restraining orders and lawsuits, draining Daniel's savings with legal fees. A vicious media campaign painted him as an unhinged farmer obsessed with stopping progress. Social media buzzed with doctored stories of his erratic behavior, drowning out his evidence. Neighbors who once backed him caved under boycotts and social pressure, leaving him isolated. Jake faced worse: his family cut him off, branding him a traitor for leaking recordings of Margaret's shady deals. Yet, even as bulldozers worked round the clock to finish the runway, Daniel didn't break. Late one night, I saw him typing an email to a gov address, his face lit by the screen's glow, hinting at a final play. Then, at dawn on December 15th, 2023, black SUVs rolled into Willow Creek like a scene from a blockbuster. Federal agents, badges gleaming, stormed the construction site, announcing an FAA safety investigation. All work stops now, Agent Carter declared, his voice cutting through the morning air. Margaret's permits were worthless against federal authority, and her attempts to bribe agents only dug her deeper. Daniel arrived, calm and unsurprised, consulting with agents like an old colleague. The crowd gasped when Agent Carter called him Director Harper. The truth hit like a thunderbolt. Daniel Harper, our quiet farmer, was the FAA director, a 40-year veteran of aviation safety oversight. Margaret had tried to build an illegal airstrip through the one man in America tasked with stopping such projects. Her empire crumbled fast. A 47-count federal indictment charged Margaret with fraud, bribery, elder abuse, and aviation violations. Her shell company's fake firms like Horizon Aviation LLC funneled embezzled HOA funds into personal accounts. She'd targeted elderly neighbors, pressuring them to sell land cheap for her luxury airstrip scheme. Corrupt officials who'd fast-tracked her permits faced prison, their careers ruined. Equipment was seized, assets frozen, and investors refunded through a federal program. Clara's meticulous logs, revealed to stem from her 30 years as a state investigator, built an airtight case alongside Daniel's expertise. Jake's recordings of Margaret's plans sealed her fate, his courage earning him scholarships and federal protection. By January 2024, Margaret was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison, banned for life from aviation and HOA roles. Her assets funded victim restitution and community safeguards. Daniel returned to his farm, his quiet heroism earning quiet respect. Clara and Jake were honored for their roles, and Willow Creek healed, protected by new federal precedents against such fraud. The irony was delicious. Margaret, who thought she could bully a simple farmer, had crossed the FAA's top authority. As Daniel told reporters with a wry smile, she never imagined her airstrip was on the land of the guy who regulates every runway in America. So, what do you think? Was Daniel's low-key farmer act a brilliant strategy? Or just luck? Who else in your town might be hiding a past like his? Could Margaret have pulled this off if she'd known who he was? Drop a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe for more wild twists. You never know who's watching or what they're planning next.